Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and do a Collaborate. It's Thursday, November 14th, 2024. This is the Tropical Update for the All Hazards Consortium, sensitive information sharing environment, where we share information across platforms from private sector organizations to private sector liaisons that work within state emergency operations centers, and also share this out with a few federal agencies as well. Well, this is the Tropical Update, and we do have potential tropical cyclone 19 yesterday has now taken the form of tropical depression 19. It's pretty evident on satellite imagery, isn't it? This is the GOES East satellite zooming in here on this sector that I've chosen here for the Western Caribbean. And you can clearly see a counterclockwise rotation. I mean, look at that. And look, it's looking more and more impressive. And lots of thunderstorms in the northern quadrant, the eastern quadrant, some in the southern quadrant as well. Here's the complicating factor, and this is good for those of you who live in Florida, who work in Florida. We still have to keep our eyes out, and I'll tell you that story here in just a moment. But look how close the center of the storm is to Central America. And I'm going to put this in full screen mode so we can see what's going on here. Here is Jamaica, and so I know I've gotten a lot of questions from folks in Jamaica. It looks like you'll be right on the tail end of this storm, which is good news, but it doesn't mean you're totally out of the woods. You can see these lines of clouds that are forming. Any one of these could develop into showers and storms, particularly when they hit the mountainous regions in Jamaica and create some locally heavy rain showers, some intense rain showers that could cause some localized flooding. But look, mostly to the west is where all of the action is. Not totally out of the woods in Jamaica. You have heat and humidity. You also have a lot of moisture being pumped up there into the island nation. But what I want to show you is the center here of the storm. And I have some statistics for you from the 10 o'clock advisory Eastern time from the National Hurricane Center. 15.7 north, 82.6 west, about 65 miles northeast of the Nicaragua-Honduras border. Max winds are 35 miles per hour. Hurricane Hunter aircraft from the U.S. Air Force investigating the storm. Movement to the west at 14. That is really critical because movement to the west is going to place it in contact with the border. And that does mean in Nicaragua and Honduras, you're going to see intense rainfall, and that is going to continue for several days because this is not a fast mover. Moving west at 14, but it's likely to slow down as it continues along its westward track, and it may occasionally emerge over water once it hits land and then be interactive with the land once again. So I have some rainfall totals that I'm going to show you in just a minute. But let me take the stats off here so we can talk about the storm itself. And I can zoom in a little bit closer here, see what's going on. This is about the center of the storm. Look at the coast of Nicaragua, and that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, this is Nicaragua here. This is Honduras. And just above out here is Guatemala, the border of Guatemala, and also to the north, Belize. And it looks like Belize, you're going to be getting it on the chin as well for some of these showers and storms a little bit later. Not immediately, but you can see some just off the coast of Belize. Probably some ominous clouds on the horizon moving to the west from the east. So this storm is going to be a prolific rainmaker. Remember what we identified yesterday, a sort of a 1-2 punch for this storm to be knocked down so it is not a hurricane when it impacts the west coast of Florida. Now, we do think it's still going to impact the west coast of Florida, but it may be just as a rainstorm or perhaps a tropical depression. It's going to really get the socks knocked off of it here when it spends time over land. It's going to be moving sort of to the west and then curving up and moving over the Belize sort of Guatemalan border and then up into here. So a lot of time is going to be spent over land, which means it's going to continue to be more like a tropical depression than a tropical storm or a hurricane. That is great news, because remember, we talked about the options yesterday, and the options of whether or not the storm is going to take a path and stay in the Yucatan Channel like this and move up, or it was going to take a more westerly path and remain over land and then out into the Gulf of Mexico this way. And it does look like that is what's going to happen. Now, let me scroll down here just a little bit. You can see the option. We had this one option of it staying over the ocean, going through the Yucatan Channel. That's what would have enabled it to remain and grow in its intensity and perhaps become Hurricane Sara. Right now, it's tropical depression, and if it does not get named as a tropical storm, it may not reach the status to be named as Sara, but we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. This is the more likely path that it will take, spending more time over the Yucatan Peninsula, starving itself of moisture from the ocean, but yes, emerging over the Gulf of Mexico. Now, there are a couple of other interesting things happening over the Gulf of Mexico, too. Look at this line of clouds here. This is drier air being forced down into the Gulf. And so this is not a very friendly environment for tropical systems to develop. That is great news. And look at this area of convergence that we've had here persistent over the last several days, ever since Rafael diminished and the circulation went to the south. We've had this frontal system and convergence of moisture, and that is created flooding rains yesterday in Louisiana and Mississippi, and now they're moving forward into Florida and the Florida Panhandle with some scattered showers and storms. Thankfully, they're not persistent, coming over the same place at the same time. But look at all this clear sky. I'll back out here just a little bit on the satellite imagery. You can see all this clear sky. Look at this strong high pressure building in behind this low. And so that's creating shear in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, remember, we looked yesterday way over the horizon here. We can't see Alaska in the GOES satellite image. This is the full disk image. You can see the curvature of the Earth there. That's the horizon. But way over here, you can see some clump of clouds. Now, what we can do, remember, we went to the GOES West satellite yesterday. I'm going to go even further. I'm going to go to the Himawari satellite. The Himawari satellite, this is Japan's satellite, and it's their geostationary satellite. So here are the Aleutian Islands. Look at that. There's that strong low pressure that we talked about yesterday going into the Aleutians, into the Arctic Sea, into the Gulf of Alaska there. And there is a trough of low pressure here. Oh, and by the way, with this Japanese satellite data, we can pan down a little bit and look at this. We have two typhoons in the Western Pacific. This one is Typhoon Man-yi right here. And this one here, south of Taiwan, is Typhoon Usagi, USAGI. Now, I'm going to go back for a moment to the GOES East satellite, and then we're going to switch over now in real time here to the GOES West satellite. So here we go. This is GOES West. You can see the whole picture here. You've heard of the international or the intertropical convergence zone, ITCZ. There it is, where you have lots of showers and storms. But I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to change the satellite channel that we're looking at from the geocolor to the upper level tropospheric water vapor. Okay, I'm going to do that so we can see more troughs and ridges and dry air in the atmosphere. So here's what's going on. Look at this dip in the atmosphere. This is a trough of low pressure, cold air in here, creating stratocumulus clouds. This is that atmospheric river that's impacting California. Thank goodness it's not going to last very long, and it's not a really strong one, but this is the season. The atmospheric rivers are going to be coming into California and the Pacific Northwest. These are all really important for filling up reservoirs so people in the West can have water through the next year. But this also used to be called the Pineapple Express because you can see Hawaii here, and it used to be a direct river, atmospheric river, if you will, right from Hawaii with that moisture right into the Pacific Northwest. But I digress a little bit. This is that trough here I want to show you in the model data. Okay, I'm going to show you this in the 500 millibar model data, and I'm going to switch over to that here in just a moment because I want you to see what's going on. Now, first I'm going to go to the 500 millibar chart and see this model data. So here we are. This is that trough that I just showed you on satellite imagery. See that just west of California? That's the trough. Now, when I put this into motion, this isn't the trough that's going to impact this tropical depression 19 down here around Nicaragua and Honduras. It's going to be this one that's around the Aleutian Islands. Here they are. And I'm going to put this into motion, and I want you to see what happens. That trough of low pressure. See it digging into California here. High pressure is going to build in behind it. That trough picks up into the central United States, kind of moves out. But look at this one behind it. This is that strong low that's over the Aleutians now, and this is forecast to come into Western Canada. But the trough is really going to dig. Watch it dig as we go into the future. Watch it dig. And I'll point out also, this is Tropical Depression 19. So this is valid tomorrow morning, and I'm going to show you what this looks like as we continue on. Now watch that trough really dig. Look at that into Baja California. And what that does is this high pressure system builds strong in the southeast U.S. It keeps the tropical depression over land, starved of the moisture that it needs to grow. And then look at this. This is the second punch, the 1-2 punch. Number one, staying over land. Number two, this trough coming in and really giving it a very hostile environment. Now watch this. So that low develops in the Midwest, a strong low pressure system that could create some severe weather and heavy rain in the Midwest, but it's already creating an atmosphere that's not conducive to any sort of strengthening. And then storm gets caught up. Here it is. These are the remnants of the Tropical Depression 19 headed towards Florida. And I'm going to show you this in another field in just a second. But look at that. It impacts Florida, but look, so much shear is in the atmosphere. This low is pretty big. It's going to throw down a lot of cold air into the southeast. So here comes a real fall next week when this storm develops, pushes this cold air in, and then it whisks it off the coast. Look at that. Whisks it off the coast. It gets trained in this frontal system here, and then it's gone. So let me take you over now to the surface. This is the forecast of the surface. Here's Tropical Depression 19 here. I'm going to put this into motion. You can see that it moves into Honduras and Nicaragua and Belize, Guatemala, and it stays over Yucatan. Look at this. It's over the Yucatan right here, and we're talking Sunday morning about 1, 2 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning East Coast time. And then I'll take it further in and look at that. It kind of becomes a low pressure, emerges over the Gulf of Mexico. Here's that one trough. It has a front sticking down here. Probably not going to impact the storm a whole lot, but entrain some of its moisture in there. And so then let's continue this on. That low moves up into the Midwest. And then we have this strong wind. This is very strong wind from the northwest and shear. But look what happens here. The depression, or just remnant low, tries to start reforming. So we might have a line of showers and thunderstorms coming into Florida, but it's certainly not a tropical storm or a hurricane. I think the conditions in the Gulf are just going to be too hostile to support storm, a hurricane. Remember what we said, we needed 3 ingredients. We need sea surface temperatures that are warm enough. Okay, we have that. I'll show you those here in just a second. I can show you that. And then we need moisture, lots of moisture. We have some moisture, not really a whole lot of moisture for it to work with. And we need no shear. That is the big X. That's the big disqualifier. A lot of shear will be going on here in the Gulf of Mexico when this moves forward. But we do have the moisture, and I want to show you that here full screen. This is the Global Precipitation Measurement Mission, GPM, and uses a whole bunch of different satellites that are orbiting. We can see the precipitation accumulation that's out there in the ocean. I'll put the legend on so you can see these rainfall rates. See that moving in the lower legend as I scroll over it. This was the tropical, this was, let's see, potential tropical cyclone 19 at the time. Look at all the rain just south of Jamaica here and moving to the west. Now this is delayed by about a day, so we won't see the precipitation that's falling today until tomorrow as we process all the different satellite data. But I do want to take you over to the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. This is GeoCollaborate. I'll zoom out here. Here is the origins of the system as the National Hurricane Center estimates. It's called the best track that the Hurricane Center puts together. That's their best estimate of the track of the center. But here is the estimated center here, and they even have a radius of maximum winds of 35 miles per hour. That shows up right here. You can see that light green. That's where the 35 mile per hour winds are. But the big probability here is tropical storm force winds. Hurricane Center does think it's going to increase in intensity. Maybe by 4 o'clock advisory, we might have Tropical Storm Sara on our hands. But in the meantime, this is the forecast. Who is going to or likely to feel tropical storm force winds? Well, that is the very northern coast here of Honduras. And that they might see 35, 39 mile per hour winds that could go up to 73 miles per hour. This is the tropical storm force wind probability. But I also want you to see the path. Right over Belize, they have the center of the storm moving. That's over a period of time. I mean, look at this forecast period right here. This is the 72-hour forecast. So we're talking about the 17th. So that is Saturday, Sunday, the 17th at 7 in the morning. It's going to be a slow mover. And that's why we have a lot of rain that's forecast in this area. But then they have it moving over the Yucatan Peninsula and emerging into the Gulf of Mexico. This particular forecast period, 120 hours on the 19th of November at 7 a.m. So not until early next week are we going to see the emergence of this system into the Gulf of Mexico, when it may just be a low pressure system. And we'll see if the Hurricane Center even continues to forecast beyond this period of time. One thing about a storm system when it's getting its act together, and that is that it is trying to get organized. And when you disrupt a storm's flow from trying to get organized, that is something that really halts its chance. It really hurts its chance of regenerating. And that's something that, I'll take you back over here and show you a different satellite channel here. There we go. This is the satellite loop full screen. This I have on the water vapor. And you can see the water vapor. It's not incredibly organized as a system, but it does have circulation. But you can see the intense rainfall from the high clouds, which means intense rainfall, headed towards Belize right now. And so this is Quintana Roo here, north of Belize. This is Belize. So there's a lot of rain that's going to be headed in there. So let me just wrap this up. And I do want to show you what it looks like from a rainfall forecast perspective. This is from the international desk at the Weather Prediction Center in College Park, Maryland, working very closely with the National Hurricane Center They forecast inland impacts of rainfall. You can find this product too on the National Hurricane Center's website. But I do want to show you, look at that as the center skirts along the northern coast of Honduras. More than 20 inches are possible locally. That is devastating rain. This is over the next 3 days. And even into Belize, we could have 10 to 15 inches of rain. That could cause mudslides, landslides, and a lot of flash floods. So if you live in that area and you are wondering if you should take precautions, absolutely. You know when the rain falls heavily, you have floods. Bring things inside. Take things that might wash away inside. See if you can shore up any doors or windows with sandbags or things like that, because this is going to be a long duration over 3 days and heavy rain. So this is a very life-threatening situation. You can see that 16 to 20 inches of rain is 400 to 500 millimeters of rain in such a short period of time. No drainage system can handle that. It's going to cause a lot of flooding, widespread flooding. And this is a life-threatening situation. And we're going to be monitoring it throughout the weekend, and we'll be putting together our updates. And I'm just going to switch here in the satellite imagery here back to the visible, so we can just take one last look at this system, because you can see Belize here, Quintana Roo, all the way also down towards Honduras. Get my mouse here. Honduras, and also probably not as much, but down here in Nicaragua. So Nicaragua, and we'll be having heavy rain down there right now. But as this moves, the heaviest rainfall is going to be along the center and to the north of the center. But you can see, again, in the rainfall forecast for Honduras, that 10 to 15 inch area, or even 8 to 12 inch area and 6 to 8 inch area covers most of Honduras. Down towards Nicaragua, it looks like you could get some very locally heavy rains in the northern coastal areas there. So that's it for this update. I want to make sure that we pay close attention to this. We've had many tropical systems that have caused lots of loss of life in Central America. And when it emerges over the weekend, or actually Monday or Tuesday, into the Gulf of Mexico, and further model runs will indicate what kind of impact we could expect for the state of Florida. But it looks like right now, that it could just be heavy rain. Not that you need it. With Lahoochee River still under flood warnings in parts of Florida, you don't need another drop, but it could happen, and that could happen around Wednesday next week. It hopefully won't last long enough to accentuate the flooding, but certainly it's better than having a hurricane or tropical storm. So that's it for this update. Sorry it's a little long. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and Geo Collaborate. Appreciate your attention to this. This will be updated to the Signal app for the All Hazards Consortium, Sensitive Information Sharing Environment. Also uploaded to the SISE hub, so you can distribute it to whoever you think needs to. We'll be back again tomorrow with another update. Thanks so much for watching. Please watch out for yourself, and also take care of your neighbors. They really do appreciate it. Have yourself a good day.